Hello everyone, I'm here at KubeCon Seattle, and with me I have Dustin Kirkland, product manager at Google Cloud Kubernetes Engine.
That's right.
Dustin, you have been with Google and Kubernetes for a while, and we started with Google Cloud. The Kubernetes Engine has taken off in the cloud. Since then, what have we been working on? What's new with Google Cloud?
Yeah, I've been really excited to work on bringing GKE On-Prem. So Google's
Okay.
Kubernetes Engine, which we host a software as a service version of Kubernetes in Google Cloud. Back in August of this year, Google announced our intention to bring GKE On-Prem.
And this is like completely new for Google.
This is new for Google, yeah. We've never really taken Google technology and put it into a data center at this kind of scale. From the background that I have been working with enterprises and bringing Linux and open source into those enterprises, and so it's been fun and interesting to share what I've learned over a 20-year career doing that, but here with Google, which has some incredible technology that typically is hosted technology, but doing that on-prem in the enterprise data center is a different challenge.
Why now? Why is Google going into on-prem if this is not something Google has done in the past?
Yeah, it's response to an incredible market opportunity. There's a ton of workloads that run much better in the cloud, and I think we've seen the explosion of public clouds in response to that. But increasingly, there are workloads that cannot run in the cloud, workloads that have to run on-prem, and that is a little counterintuitive to maybe some people who are all cloud native, 100% cloud native. And so, you think about something like the retail industry and the software that needs to run inside of inside of a store, right? There are physical sensors inside of the store that needs to have software running against those sensors. Now, those sensors can feed data to the cloud and where decisions can be made, but the actual code that reads the mag strip on a credit card or the NFC or the chip on a credit card, that's code that has to run
physically present
within
in the
a
store.
couple of feet of the card reader, the chip reader. The same goes for the sensors inside of in a restaurant, inside of the refrigerator, the store. All that's internet connected nowadays. And I think over the next couple of years, you'll see the in-store experience, the experience we have as a customer coming into a brick and mortar traditional retailer. We're really going to see that enhanced by technology in the store. And across the board, every retailer that I've met is packaging their own applications, either applications they've written or applications they purchased from a third party, packaging those as containers and deploying them to thousands of stores, multi-node clusters in thousands of stores.
That sounds awesome. So what are some of the benefits that folks are going to get when they have their clusters managed by GKE On-Prem?
Folks being your system, your IT administrator.
Or retail companies or whoever is going to be using GKE On-Prem?
Right. So from like a system administrator, an IT standpoint, I think what you'll see is Kubernetes managed as appliances, really appliances in the store, where below the layer of your application, all of that's managed as a service, software as a service. It's remotely updated, it's remotely scaled, it's remotely monitored, remotely logged, and the applications that sit on top are scaled, are deployed, are run in a very seamless manner.
That sounds awesome. So when are customers actually going to get access to this?
Good question. 2019. 2019 is the year of retail really adopting incredible software at scale, and I think it'll change our lives in ways that we're only just beginning to see.
That's awesome. And so moving forward with GKE going on-prem, all of these things, is Google going to continue to invest in open source?
Oh, well, absolutely. I mean, I think it's in our DNA. I've certainly been around the open source industry as a contributor and author of open source projects for decades. It attracted me in my journey to Google. I've been with Google for almost a year now. Google's commitment to open source is something that I'm very proud of, and I think increases, in fact, over time.
Well, what are the benefits of being open source? Why continue that investment?
Yeah, I think it's standardizing on a common platform. There's certain aspects of software that once commoditized make for a better playing field for everyone. The differentiation on certain things that just don't benefit the end user for differentiation, it really doesn't make sense. And having a common open source base for that layer of the infrastructure, and that layer started very low and has slowly crept up in a good way, because I think we've layered on better and better services. The further to the top of that stack you go, the more commercialized or productized, in some cases proprietary, that is. I think it's inevitable, though, that the layers continue creeping upward, and I think that's a good thing for us as open source technologists and for the end users benefiting from the technology.
What do you think about, you have different companies that are all kind of contributing to open source. Sometimes these companies are seen as competitors to a certain extent, but open source is a place where they actually collaborate.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
It's the nature of the game, in fact. I think some of the athletes that I have the most respect for are the ones who have personal, interpersonal relationships with one another off the field. On the field, it's gridiron, it's a battle. But to shake hands at the end of the game and say, we were best at this time, and we'll do better next time. That sort of collaboration, I think you see in open source as well. We will compete. We will compete in the market and from a technology perspective, but we'll also collaborate around the open source. And I think that's a sign of good, healthy companies and good, healthy business models. And on the flip side, I think when you see organizations that can't collaborate well, that's a sign of something unhealthy going on, perhaps in a business model.
Makes sense. And looking forward into 2019, what are the things that you're most excited about? GKE On-Prem, of course, but what else?
Yeah, so I'm going to double down on that one. I think GKE On-Prem at tremendous scale in the enterprise data center for sure. That's where we're currently engaged today. So putting GKE On-Prem into racks of servers in a traditional data center. The other place is at the edge, in this retail sense, thousands of little data centers, thousands of 5-node data centers, right? That is happening in 2019, and I'm excited to be a part of that.
That is very exciting.
Yeah.
So let's talk about KubeCon. This is not your first KubeCon.
No, it's not. The last one in the U.S. was in my hometown of Austin, Texas. So it's incredible to see it just double in size from a year ago, December a year ago. Copenhagen was incredible. Had a blast there. Oh my God, the food in Copenhagen. We ate our way through the Michelin guide in Copenhagen. That was a lot of fun. But I also attended Berlin a year and a half ago, and boy, that was a small conference compared to this. So it's grown up quite a bit.
What are you looking forward to this week at KubeCon?
Yeah, I think really educating more of the community, what we're doing here, but also learning from the already advanced users of Kubernetes, hearing from them, their use cases, if they're a customer, their pains, if they're a developer trying to write applications for Kubernetes. As a product manager, it's an incredible opportunity to get feedback from our customers and the community.
That's awesome. And finally, what's your favorite KubeCon memory?
KubeCon memory. I got a hoodie, a Kubernetes hoodie, 6 months ago, I guess. It was at the Copenhagen KubeCon, and I was wearing that hoodie a week ago, last week, and I took my car into the shop to have some repairs done on it. And in fact, the mechanic that took my car was wearing a GitHub hoodie. And so I complimented her on her hoodie, and she told me, "Hey, nice Kubernetes hoodie. I like that." And I just thought, what a cool world we live in, where someone who's evidently writing some code in using GitHub on the side is also working on my car, and in the same field of endeavor we are with Kubernetes. And
that is wonderful. That is the beauty of open source. All right, thank you so much for your time,
Yeah, you bet,
Dustin.
Saad. Good to meet you.
Have a good one.
Yeah, good to see you.
Take care.